Looks like a bit of a storm coming through tonight. We're that blue pin in the middle, Oakhurst up above us. Yosemite National Park getting the dump on. So once again, here, straight ahead, 41 going up to Yosemite, hang a left, Route 49 to Mariposa. We're going straight up the 41. I'm gonna see how far I can get and how bad the conditions are. If I have to turn around, then that's what we'll do. Just off to the right here is the road to Bass Lake. So if we can't make it all the way through, we can always come back and check that out. And we're just entering Sierra National Forest. Chains are required. Oh man. Yeah, I'm gonna turn around. That answers that. So we're gonna hang a left and check out Bass Lake. Doesn't look like much of anything's open at the moment. The market's open, which is a good sign. Like it's just open for takeout, huh? All right, I'm back in Oakhurst, just driving around, exploring, seeing what sights there are to see. Point of historical interest to the left. So that's the way we go, right? Fresno State Historical Park. In the early years, Oakhurst, or Fresno Flats as it was originally known, provided supplies to miners, ranchers, and lumber companies in the surrounding Sierra foothills. And blah, blah, blah. It became known as Oakhurst. Okay. Press button for historic details. Which button? This one? Or this one? Door number 1 or door number 2? I don't even know if that is a button. So let's hit this.
Welcome to Fresno Flats Historical Park, developed and operated by Sierra Historic Sites Association. Ours is an all-volunteer, non-profit organization dedicated to the preservation of the rich cultural heritage of eastern Madera County's foothill and mountain region. Paramore House, the yellow house to your left. Both have been designated by the state of California as official points of historical interest. Each is the last surviving example of the types of design once common throughout Northern California. Each has a recorded message to tell you more of its history. Moving clockwise around the complex, we would point out the collection of farm equipment behind the Larimore House. A section of the 54-mile-long flume that carried rough-cut boards from the mountains to a finishing mill in Madeira may also be found here. The log barn was first built in 1914 when the Dupsic family homesteaded near here. In it is an example on lumbering, so important to the region from 1852 until just a few years ago. Next is the Old Raymond Jail, built in 1890 and used to house drunks and minor offenders well into the 20th century. Note its construction of 2x4 boards, laid flat, typical of jails at that time. Pretty grim place to stay, isn't it? There weren't many escapees. In the Red Barns, we have recreated a blacksmith shop and an agricultural exhibit. Our collection of horse-drawn equipment may be seen in the wagon shed. Behind the shed and the Taylor home is a picnic area, which we hope you will use often. There is no charge for family use in this area or the picnic tables in the center of the compound. To the right of the Taylor home is the old Fresno Flats Jail, which held prisoners during the last quarter of the 19th century. Before it was moved here, it was used for a different kind of guests, tourists. Today it is used for administrative purposes. Behind it may be found restrooms which were built by our local E-Clampus Vitus volunteers. The caretaker's home, a modern structure, was built on a single day in May of 1985 by volunteers from the local construction industry. Next come two one-room schools. The Cunningham School is the one with the bell on top. It was moved here from Nippanawasi, where it was the only building to survive the disastrous Harlow fire in 1961. We use this for meetings, concerts, and other special events. Arrangements may be made to rent this old one-room school and or the gazebo in the middle of the grounds. The Nathan Sweet Memorial Museum is located in the other schoolhouse, once the Fresno Flats School, going back to the late 1870s. After a modern new school was built in the 1950s, the building was modified and served as the county library and justice court. Various exhibits now give visitors a feeling of how life was many years ago when Oakhurst was known as Fresno Flats. The museum also houses a gift shop. Finally, the log cabin to your immediate right came from a once popular 19th century resort, Cedarbrook. We use it for administrative purposes. That completes our quick tour of Fresno Flats Historical Park.
Well, button 2 doesn't do anything. Library and park. Welcome to another episode of Van Cooking with Greg. Today, we're making a one-pot chicken and prosciutto tortellini with a fine homemade biotoni marinara salsa. That's nice. Look at that. Nice and chunky, delicious. We're just gonna pour the whole thing in there. I can hear something working in there. Yeah, we're just gonna dump all those in there. I mean, no big deal. Set it and forget it. And it's something around 10 minutes later, and we're looking good to go here. There's a little chapel right here, which is part of a cemetery. I've always wanted to check that out. I'm not sure if this is where you turn or not. Seems like it would be. Yeah, Oak Hill Cemetery. Yeah, I know. Greg, why are you driving around in a cemetery? That's kind of morbid. Well, I don't find cemeteries all that morbid. I always found something kind of strangely beautiful about a cemetery. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be, your last resting place, right? And it's supposed to be a place that's beautiful. That's why they always have nice lawns, manicured, and big trees in them, and a nice little chapel. Some of them have like gazebos and what have you. And this is about as quaint of a little cemetery as you're gonna get. The stone marker here reads James Craw of Elmora, India, born at Ayr, Scotland, May 1st, 1846, died September 22nd, 1908, at home, Orchard, California. See, to me that's beautiful, because why would I know that person was ever alive? James Craw of India, born in Scotland, died here in California. I mean, if you want history, just go over to a cemetery, especially in an older town like this that already has tons of history in it. You're going to walk around and you're going to find unknown stories about James Craw and other such people. William H. Sr., Emma Dakota, Samuel James, 1912, 1927, 1918. The Crooks. Huh. What's this say here? Little church on the hill. Built by volunteers with donated materials, this church was first consecrated June 20th, 1894. It was the only house of worship in the region for half a century. Services were discontinued in the early 1950s. The community rallied to save the church, moved it to its present location, 1957. And then in the 90s, it was restored. Awesome. If I hadn't have stopped here to read this little signage, I would have had no idea about that cute little chapel that I was musing about. It was built in 1894. Just kidding. Still in Starbucks. Well, I had the taste for something a little sweet, and I had a little Starbucks gift card from Christmas I haven't used yet, so thought I'd treat myself with a little, I don't know what this is. Toasted white chocolate toasted marshmallow. Wow, it tastes just like a white chocolate toasted marshmallow. So not only do they have a bunch of great brochures and information here, a nice lady that's very helpful and has some good information about road closures and such. Apparently I would have been able to get in this afternoon without chains, but I want to have a good day there. She said I should be fine tomorrow. More importantly, she gave me a stack of goodies, the kind that I like. So I got this sweet, sweet bottle opener, which I'll probably never use, but if I have a visitor that needs to crack one open, I'm gonna have it right here, easily accessible. 1, 2. Haha!